romantic comedy. I think Cupid could get interesting.
I want to see Cupid on The Bachelorette. Dudes
yes.
who are into it.
Yes. Sign me up. Where's my rose? Yes.
Welcome, friends and fans, to another episode of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we are indeed going back to Star City with cast members of the Arrowverse. So without further ado, let's knock an arrow into our bow and bring them out. Our first guest is an actress whose roles include The Expanse, Shadowhunters, and Defiance. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of the ill-fated Samantha Clayton. Please welcome Anna Hopkins.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. And first of all, welcome to the show and introduce our audience to our bonus panelist.
This is Jasper. He's obviously very excited to be here today. I usually keep him right next to me in case he starts barking, and I can, keep him quiet because he will bark.
We love it when our guests bring our pets to the panels. It always makes it memorable and awesome.
Good. I'm glad to be here.
Indeed. So glad to have you here. And let me just add, I adored you in Bad Blood.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you. It was a fantastic performance. I mean, that was a villainous for the books.
That was not a nice person. That was
nobody in that series was a nice person for the most part. But
that's true. They're all bad guys.
Yes, they are. It was degrees, and I again, great job on that. And as always, welcome to the GalaxyCon stage. So glad to have you.
Thank you.
Indeed. And speaking of great actors, he is an actor whose credits include Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Degrassi, The Next Generation, and the charming The Christmas Setup. Today joins us to discuss the role of the son of Samantha Clayton and Oliver Queen, Mr. William Clayton. Please welcome Ben Lewis.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Hello. I want to bring you guys on first, have a little family reunion.
Yeah. Always happy to see Anna. The last time I saw Anna was on a similar panel to this.
Yes. I'm very happy to.
This is how we're keeping in touch in quarantine.
You and the rest of the civilization, absolutely. Yeah. Ben, how are you in your corner of the world?
I'm pretty good. I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, which is it's an interesting time. Certainly to be here, a challenging time. My husband is shooting a TV show here, which is why we're here. And but we've been really lucky. We only lost power for a couple hours, which we feel really blessed. But it's tough out here.
Absolutely. Again, we are glad to see you and your hubby doing well in these trying times, especially in your part of the world.
Thank you. I'm just glad to have power to be able to do this right now.
I'm so glad for that. Well, again, thank you for joining us here. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. And our next guest is an actor whose credits include Crash, Spartacus, and The Expanse. Today, he joins us to discuss the role of the irredeemable Digger Harkness, a.k.a. Captain Boomerang. Please welcome Nick E. Tarabay. Our next guest is an actor and musician whose credits include Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, Tomorrowland, and Crown and Anchor. Today, he joins us to discuss the role of redemption of Floyd Lawton, a.k.a. Deadshot. Please welcome Michael Rowe.
Yo, how's it going?
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Those boats are vacuum cleaners behind you. I can't tell.
Those are rowboats. I'm coming to you live from my parents' basement in Newfoundland, Canada.
I was just there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be stuck during these times. So I came home to be with family. I just filmed a show here, and just been hanging out in the woods, hanging out with my brothers. I have 4 brothers. 3 of them live here. Wow. And drinking lots of wine with my old man. So good times here.
And you collaborate with your brother, the filmmaker, on a lot of stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, he's the one that got me interested in acting. I was a musician, and I moved to Vancouver, and he was filming his own stuff. And we started doing little indie projects, and it reminded me of sort of having an indie, band. And it filled the gap that was left with my band breaking up. yeah, I kind of got him to thank for this. His name is Andrew Rowe, a super talented writer and director, and he's stuck in Northern Ontario right now. So he's the only brother that's not here, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. No. Well, we're so glad to have you here, Michael. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Good to be here.
And speaking of joining us, okay, let's go back to that. She's an actress in roles include Turn, Washington Spies, Supernatural, and Natalie Holloway series. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of the eternally obsessed Carrie Cutter, a.k.a. Cupid. Please welcome Amy Gumenick.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Oh, so glad to have you here.
Thank you. Me too. I'm so sorry we had a bit of a time zone confusion, but I am here and ready to go.
I had the same confusion. Don't worry.
Oh, good. I'm sorry you did, but at least I'm not alone.
No worries, no worries. Everything else is good in your corner of the world?
Everything's good. Literally in my corner of the world, pretty much stuck inside like the rest of us, but all good.
All right. Absolutely glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
So,
Oh, indeed. And next, she is an actress and singer whose credits include The Walking Dead and the Dolphin Tale film series. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of Dinah Drake, a.k.a. Black Canary. Please welcome Juliana Harkavy.
hi.
Juliana, how are you?
So good. So happy to be here. Feeling really blessed. I'm in sunny California right now, sort of away from a lot of the reality of what's going on. So feeling very, very blessed.
Absolutely. So nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us. And thank you for all of us for joining us again. Hopefully our lost lamb will, he'll get that technical issue. Producers just pop him back in whenever he comes back on. Good to go. For all of you joining us here, welcome to the GalaxyCon virtual stage. As always, we here at GalaxyCon, we are looking forward to the day when the world does get back to normal. We can once again host you at our physical stages and get you all back in front of your fans. In the meantime, we're so glad to have you on our online forum.
So great to be here.
Thanks so much.
Oh, absolutely. So our team right now is going through the chat room, pulling out the questions. In the meantime, I would just love to hear how Arrow began for each of you. And if we go chronologically, Michael, I think we start with you, debut in season 1.
Yeah, I heard about this new show, Arrow. Didn't really know a whole lot about it. Got an opportunity to audition for what they told me basically was a military role. He was a soldier. Very little dialogue. They wanted me to put together a rifle and shoot somebody from a very long distance. So I went in there, did the audition for this dude. I can't remember what his name was. Finn, Finn was his name in the script. And got a call back, did it for the director. Guy Norman B was the director of episode 3. And did the audition. He started laughing, I remember. And I was like, oh, shit, I think maybe I missed the mark on that one. He's like, no, dude, that was just really intense. So do you have any tattoos? And I was like, that's a weird question. No, I don't have any tattoos. He's like, all right, good to meet you. See you later. And then went out into the lobby. And the only other person there for the callback was this guy who's covered in tattoos. And I was like, damn it, I don't have tattoos. I'm not getting this role. Turns out they want to do this angle where he tattooed the names of his victims on his body. And I think they were looking for a clean slate. Yeah. Maybe that was the one thing that got me the gig. I don't know, but I'm happy it did. And it's almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago this upcoming summer that I had that audition. So pretty crazy.
And again, season 1, so Arrow was an unknown property at the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I even knew it was about superheroes. Like, I knew nothing about it. And I'm kind of glad I didn't. Like, there can be a lot of pressure, I guess, when it comes to that type of thing. But, you know, then I remember going to a wardrobe fitting, and they still hadn't really filled me in. I thought I was playing this soldier named Finn, and I'm walking through, and everybody starts calling me Deadshot, and I'm like, you got the wrong guy. I'm here to play Finn. And then they showed me the wardrobe and the wrist-mounted machine gun and the red eye patch and everything, and I'm like, am I playing this guy? And they're like, yeah. And they just start throwing comic books at me, and I'm like, I know this character. Like, this is nuts. And yeah, it was wild. And then I remember you know, just trying to put it all together in my head, and when it was a real thing, then searching back and figuring out what made this guy tick. And it was a lot of fun to dig through the comics and And yeah, good stuff.
No, it was a great interpretation. You really sold the character very well. Yeah, again, Berlanti and Guggenheim, they've done a very good job of taking the cores of these characters from the comics and then creating a live action television version, which I know some comic book fans get a little meh about it. Like, no, it's a different medium, man. It's the spirit. The spirit is correct in all of Arrow, and that's all I look for. And again, you sold it.
Thanks. I remember having a conversation with them about, how they wanted to go a bit darker with the show. I think Smallville had just been on the air and it was a little more colorful and animated and stuff. And they wanted to go for a bit of a darker tone. So I made sure not to really, do an impression of somebody else's version of the character.
Hey,
here he is.
Hey, Nick. Okay, Nick, we can see you. Can you see us?
Yeah, yep, I can.
All right, right on. Cool.
It's a bit staticky, but I think so.
All right, we can muscle through it, so it's all good. So, Anna, I believe you came on next in season 2.
Season 2, right. Well, I'm sure we all have somewhat similar stories in that we never really knew who we were auditioning for. That was a very telltale Arrow audition process. So yeah, I think I remember, I think it was sort of the end of season 1, I had taped for a bunch of different roles. And then a couple of months went by and they brought me in the room for something, and it was a journalist. So I was all like getting into the head of a journalist and, and just, did that audition. And that was in the room with like a bunch of people. I don't even remember who was in the room, but a lot of people. And then same thing, like, all right, you're going to Vancouver. Your name is not Samantha. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that. And I think like the day before I was shooting, they were like, by the way, you had a child with Oliver Queen. And I was like, what? And and so I had sort of a day or something to like recalibrate. And we shot that first. I just had this one scene to do with his mom. It was sort of the flashback with the $1 million check. I believe it was $1 million. And I was kind of like, so like, what's this story about? And they're like, we're not going to tell you where this is going. And then, the next couple of years was just always like, all right, are you available, in 2 weeks? Can you come down to Vancouver? Read the script and sort of. So I was really kind of discovering this story throughout the seasons, and yeah, so it's a kind of fun choose your own adventure like acting process, Arrow, a little bit. Your arc, it was interesting. It was certainly interesting to be this character that was just like, oh, we haven't done a story about her in a while, have we? Yeah, okay, let's throw it out on the wall there too. Let's bring it back. And during that time, Ben's character began to evolve. Yes,
even if he wasn't there yet, his character was beginning to evolve.
Yeah, no, that was there were definitely about 50% more availability checks than actually ended up working. So there was probably like even weirder storylines in there that just never really happened. But that's what's kind of cool about the show. There's just a lot of material that they draw from. So yeah.
Absolutely. And Amy, popping in season 3. What an interesting character.
Thank you for using the word interesting.
Well, I don't like to. I love villains. I don't want to give them props for being villains, but I want to give props to the performers who give the wonderful life to them.
Thank you. I had I didn't realize that we were all in the dark. When I auditioned, I had initially auditioned actually for Laura Lance in the pilot, which was, years before I actually appeared on the show. But after that, they would bring me in pretty regularly for various roles here and there. And nothing really hit, but they kept bringing me in, which I was grateful for. And then I got a little bit of time had passed, and I got an audition for Redhead. And I remember looking at this being like, well, I don't have red hair, so I'm not going to get it. I'm just going to go in and have fun. And I walked into the audition room, the waiting room, and everyone, I was in this sea of like gorgeous redheads. And I was like, maybe they made a mistake, but I'm here, so I'll sign in. And I remember going in, and the sides were close to one of the scenes that we ended up filming, but I was given no context at all. And even the breakdown, like there wasn't a breakdown, it was just redhead. And I finished the scene, and I remember there was this like kind of awkward silence in the room. And you never know as an actor if that means you nailed it or you were completely horrible and should just like run out as quickly as possible. So I just sort of like let the silence last for a second. And the showrunner at the time just like stared at me. His response was, "You have crazy in your eyes." I was like, "Thank you. I don't know what that means." And I remember leaving the room and getting to the car, and I called my husband, and I was like, "I have no idea what just happened, but it was really fun." Totally not expecting anything. And then I didn't have a callback. That one was, I went straight to the producers for that since I had been in for the show so many times. And they called me a few days later, and that I was being considered and am I available? And then it wasn't until a few weeks after that I had sort of figured it wasn't going any further, that they called and told me that I booked the role. And still at that point, I think at that point they told me that it was actually Cupid. And I wasn't very familiar, I have to admit, with the comic books. So I quickly started researching. And when I saw the first drawing of Cupid, I had a mini meltdown. I was like, I made a mistake. This is not, I don't look anything like this. And it was so fun. I think that, like Michael said, I think not knowing really the shoes that I was stepping into, in a way was a gift, because I think I would have put a lot more pressure on myself to be the comic book Cupid. Yeah. And they were really great about sort of allowing me to, obviously use the comic books as a guide, but really like create my own Cupid.
Sure.
And then they flew me out to Vancouver for like a wig fitting. I left in the morning, I tried on a bunch of wigs, and then came home. It was the craziest. The whole thing was just like very surreal. And then I went back out a few weeks later to film my first episode, and so fun. It was really like the ultimate game of make-believe. So fun.
It's always the auditions you laugh off. That was fine. Nothing never happened. Yeah.
If only we could like fake that feeling when we laugh.
Yeah, I've tried. Yeah. I've tried, but myself. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
It truly was too. So thank you. So Nick, the question on the table is, how was the casting process for you when you came on in, also on season 3, episode 7, as Captain Boomerang?
My audition process was a bit different, to be honest with you. I was I went in for two other roles first, and it was almost done deal, but in the last minute, I think Berlanti would had it, like they were like, all right, it's good to go. I think Berlanti was like, oh no, I have someone else in mind. So it would be like, all right, this is it, it's done, we're gonna do it. And then it last minute it stops. But the way Captain Boomerang came about, I think Guggenheim called me, and he was like, oh, so we found a role for you. I was like, great. And he was like, you're gonna be playing Captain Boomerang, and I'm like, great. Who's that? I have no idea who Captain Boomerang is or anything. So, but I was like, and I felt bad about the time because he was so excited, and I had no idea who this guy is. So I called one of my buddies who's really into comic books and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, who's Captain Boomerang? And he was like, wait, why? I was like, well, Arrow wants me to play Captain Boomerang. Look, what? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, yeah. I was like, and they started going on and on and on about Captain Boomerang. So I was like, oh, okay. So it was, it was fun. It was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Again, you sold it well, and Captain Boomerang's just one of those great villains that he's not out to conquer the world. He's just out to knock over banks and to spend the money on wine, women, and song, and is completely unrepentant. So it's a great job of nailing that character, in my opinion. Again, in the Arrowverse. So kudos to you on that.
Oh, cheers, man.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Stargirl as another villain, and I'll leave it at that. So we got Juliana, you come on board on season 5, and you're there for a while.
Yeah, through the end.
And technically, you could almost say maybe you started with your role in Constantine as a different character.
Right. It was interesting how my journey on the Arrowverse started before I was on the Arrowverse, but I didn't realize it. I'd first heard about Arrow because I was doing Walking Dead with Audrey Marie Anderson and Kirk Acevedo. We were in the same episodes of Walking Dead, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're on the show Arrow," so I checked it out because of them, and then we ended up being on Arrow together. So that was the trip. And then ended up being on. I was cast on the show Constantine before Constantine was a character on Legends of Tomorrow. So I got to work with Matt that way, and it was really kind of cool how everything came together. But so when I got the audition for Arrow, I had just moved back from Florida to LA, and I think it was like the second or third audition I went on. And as an actor, you know when that magic thing happens where you get a role and you just instantly you just know it's you and you're connected and there's no other option, which is such a nice feeling, because for me at least a lot of the times it's like, oh no, I don't know, I don't, and all these questions. And I didn't feel that, so I went in and I did the audition. It went great, and I remember coming out and looking at myself in the mirror of my car, and I just told myself, if you get a call back for this, you're going to book it, and you have to be prepared for your life to change. And I'd never had that kind of confidence before as an actor. And when I got the call back, I remember kind of this sense of panic, because I was like, oh shit, I made this promise to myself now, I'm committed. And so when I did the callback, and again, kind of a transcendent, the moments you always wish for as an actor, where you kind of go out of yourself and you're just fully there. There were a lot of people in the audition, but it just felt very safe, and I felt very at home. And then just sort of let it go for a few days. And then a few days later, I was in the mall, and I got a call, and it was Mark Guggenheim and Wendy Miracle and the whole team. And they just asked me, first of all, would you like to move to Vancouver? And I hadn't even had my bags unpacked yet for moving back to LA, but I was just like, yeah, let's go. And then they said, and our next question is, would you like to be Dinah Drake, the Black Canary? And I had no idea. I thought I was auditioning for a vigilante. And when I looked up the character, I saw it was this comic book character that started, the 50s, this iconic character, which, like Amy said, I'm so glad I didn't know going in, because I would have been so scared. And then
that character's history in comics is convoluted, and that's the politest way I can put it.
yeah, it's a crazy mythology, and I'm so glad I didn't know about it. And then I was so glad and grateful that that's what it was. So yeah, that was the whole story, and I stayed for the next 4 years and just never looked back. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
Indeed, what a gig. And Ben, finally come to you.
Yeah.
The kid grows up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was, technically a latecomer to the show, but like you said, the character sort of predated me, or pre-existed, played by Jack Moore. And it's interesting. I had sort of I had auditioned for the show before as well, but I didn't really necessarily see it as a show for me, or that I could necessarily picture myself on. But it was interesting when I got the audition for what I would later find out it was William. It just said gay tech billionaire, and I was like, oh yeah, that's in my wheelhouse. I think maybe I can pull that off. And then I went in and I had 3 auditions, and then they were doing the deal for about 3 weeks. And then when I finally got the call from Beth Schwartz that I got the role and that everything had worked out, she sort of was explaining to me the flash forward storyline, and that I was going to be, that the character was actually William in the future. And I thought that she was setting up to tell me that I was going to be the new Green Arrow. And I swear to God, I was like shitting myself. I was like, oh no. I was like, Beth, I'm going to stop you right. Like, I literally stopped her mid-sentence. And I was like, if you're about to tell me that I'm the new Green Arrow, I'm so sorry. I know we've been through like a lot here, but you made a horrible mistake. And then she was like, no. You'll be like the Felicity character, and the plan was the new Green Arrow was going to be my younger sister, played by Kat McNamara. So anyway, I was very relieved. New Felicity was way more in my wheelhouse, and I had such a good time doing it for the last 2 seasons.
Awesome.
Great. I love it.
At least they were able to give you that little bit of information. Oh no, you're gonna be this.
Yeah.
A lot of your peers and others on the shows, they don't even get that. It's just like, here's your script for this episode, and you might get one next week. Maybe.
Right,
we'll let you know.
Right.
So indeed. Well, gentlemen and lady, thank you all so much. I absolutely adored hearing your stories. And again, as a fan of this show and a fan of these characters, thank you for the performances again that you brought, giving life to them and your own spin and your own interpretations to them. They really speak well to your credit, and do credit to you all as actors.
Thank you.
Very welcome. And our team has got questions good for our audience. So let's go ahead and roll our first one. And this is going to come from G or J. I apologize if I don't pronounce that right. Did you have to do any pre-production training for your roles?
Not for me.
Not for me either, thank God.
I did, yes. Yeah, I had a lot of stunt training. I had to learn how to use a bow staff. I was in there with the stunt team every week, and it really forced me to get into great shape, and feeling mentally and physically strong for the role, which I was really happy about. It actually got me to a place in my physical fitness I'd wanted to be for years, but just was too lazy. So I had a lot of help.
So helpful being forced to do it. Oh.
Yeah, it's always the best to be forced into it.
Yeah. I need that right now.
I feel like as an actor, it's such a little added perk or gift when we're forced to really craft or skill. I also did not extensive training, but I definitely they flew me out to Vancouver about a week before I started filming, and I worked with my dog is going crazy if everyone can hear him. He has a lot to say about Arrow.
Obviously.
But I worked with the Archery Experts on the show, who were so wonderful and so supportive. I had never picked up a bow in my life. And now I own a bow and know how to, shoot arrows. It's super fun. But I have to say, one of the things that I thought was the most interesting, in addition to the physical training, was they really emphasized the history of archery. And my character in particular is the fun fact, the only female character in TV history that shoots in the way that she does. It comes from an ancient Turkish method. That was really neat too, to get to learn a little bit about the history and dive into kind of where she came from and why they chose that style of shooting.
Yeah.
Although I've since gone to an archery range just for fun, and everybody looks at me like I'm crazy because I shoot the way that Cupid shoots. But yeah, so fun to, similar to what you were saying, Juliana, is sort of be forced into this new physical challenge. So that's, a little added bonus that I'm so grateful for.
Indeed. Michael, how about you, Mr. Guns?
When I went to my last wardrobe fitting, the stunt team, and particularly Bam Bam, the stunt choreographer, he said, I need you to go walk you through this big fight scene at the end of the episode. And I said, yeah, no problem. And we went out on some crash pads, me and Stephen Amell and Bam and the stunt doubles. And they're like, all right, we're going to have to do one take where you do the full fight. We're going to have to do one take against Steven, one take where you do it against Steven's stunt double, and then Steven's going to do one with your stunt double, and then 2 stunt doubles are going to do one. So we're all there. I think I'd lied on my resume and said I was a kickboxer.
Classic.
Yeah, but I grew up with 4 brothers, so I had a history of fighting whether I wanted to or not. And I remember I was wearing really skinny pants that day, and the first move that they got me to do, I ripped the ass out of my jeans. And just literally flapping in the wind, almost the whole leg off my pants, and worked for an hour and a half like that. And everybody was very kind. Nobody mentioned it at all. And we got all of the footage. And then luckily I have some friends who are professional fighters. So then I took the choreography to them, and I was like, can you clean up my technique? Because I think they think that I got a lot of fighting experience, and they did, and it turned out pretty good.
Indeed it did. So Nick, bring us home. Did they give you any boomerang training?
I'm having a hard time hearing everybody. Well, what was the question? I'm sorry.
The question is, did we do any physical training or training with the props or the boomerangs in preparation for the role?
No. But I've already done a lot of training for other shows, and I'm a pretty physical guy, so I really didn't need to go. So it was all good.
I was about to say, anyone who's followed you on Spartacus can, we've seen you with your shirt off. We know. So indeed, you already came in good to go.
I feel like there's more being said than I can barely hear it. So.
All right, no worries, boss. No worries, boss. We'll work through it. So it's all good. But yeah, no trade that way too. And Jay, thank you very much. That was a great question to start us off with. And let's go ahead and roll another one. And this comes from Chiara. What advice would you give to your character?
Don't do anything that you actually did. No.
I feel like maybe I would advise William to get a better security detail, because just he's kidnapped way too many times for one lifetime. I mean, some might say get him in a self-defense class, but I'm too lazy, so I would just bulk up the security detail.
Yeah.
I think I would say get William into a self-defense class way earlier. Why didn't we do that? Why didn't we do that after the first kidnapping?
Seriously, you'd think you'd learn, but
superheroes kids are there to be kidnapped. That's their function. When they're little kids. Then they grow up and take over either the business or the superhero mantle. In your case, the business.
The business, yeah.
While being kidnapped.
Indeed. Who's got another one?
I'd tell my character to always wear a backpack just in case he gets stuck on top of a building that's about to explode, like a parachute in the backpack. This will come in handy someday.
Yeah.
I told your character that too. Thanks. I think I would tell Cupid to just calm down. Not everyone who saves you is in love with you. I would have advised some therapy early on. Work through some of that, childhood trauma.
Yeah, ditto.
Very true. Very true. Juliana. Oh, go ahead, boss.
I think I would tell Dinah to just trust herself. She was always looking for meaning in who she was and what kind of person am I? Am I good? Am I bad? Am I a lone wolf? Am I a team member? And I would just want her to really step into herself and ground. Maybe also therapy. I think that could probably benefit all of our characters and all people in general.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair. So Nick, what advice would you give to Captain Boomerang?
I would tell him to get a gun instead of those boomerangs. I think they'll be more efficient. You know what I mean? They'll get more done. What we're done with. It's a job of boomerangs and grab a gun or something. That would get the job done quicker. That would be my advice.
No argument with that logic. Absolutely. Chiara, thank you. Wonderful question. And what do we have next? And this comes from Lynn, who wants to know, what other fandoms would you like to have a crossover with Arrow with? So would you like to see your characters cross over with Star Wars or Rick and Morty or just some other type of fandom?
I personally think Samantha could use like some humor in her life. Maybe like a comedy Seinfeld.
Yes.
Could see.
Yes.
Could see.
Still laugh, you know?
See that? I can see her popping in the office for some odd reason. I don't know why, but that'd work.
No, anything really.
I love it. I would love to see the cinematic Birds of Prey universe crossover with the TV version, because there's one of my best friends, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, played Huntress in the movie, and I would love to work with her again. It's because we were in Scott Pilgrim versus the World together. I would love to work with her again in some capacity and see, their canaries interact with our canaries, because so many incredible women.
Well, that door was opened at the end of Crisis when both of our Flashes met and admired their outfits.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
So that is on the table. That is absolutely on the table.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Who might have another one?
I think I'd like to see.
I was gonna, it's so funny because I was gonna say the same thing about a comedy, but I think Anna, you can't. I was gonna say I would love to see my character be in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but you can't beat Seinfeld.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine would be a great one.
That Seinfeld, I would, yeah. So you beat me to
Seinfeld.
it, but I would like to cut the Boomerang in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That would be
I'd sign up for a streaming service for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Very good. Michael, where were you going?
It might be a little obvious, but I think just straight up like DC versus Marvel.
Cool.
Like last man standing. Like let's get a bit out of control with them pulling the trigger. Let's whittle it down a bit. You gotta have versus like almost like that world, that your version of whatever character that Marvel has, and then the last man standing sort of gets the gig.
So Arrow versus Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Both the Bowman characters.
Yeah.
They have done that in the comics. They have done comic crowd. DC and Marvel did and they actually let the fans decide, okay, we're going to have the Hulk and Superman fight, and you, the fans, decide who's going to win.
Ah, cool.
So they did that in the 90s. And so again, it's on the table. The door is open.
There you go. I mean, it's never been filmed, right? So
no, it has not been filmed. It hasn't been done yet. There's been fan films. There's lots of verses, stuff like that, but not officially. Not yet.
Gotcha.
Indeed.
I like Ben's idea about mixing with like the cinematic element, because I think especially our fights were some of them were so intricate, but just the way TV is sort of cut together, and you need to kind of cut the air out of a lot of scenes and fights. I feel like you didn't really fully get all of it all the time. So something like a crossover with like the Kill Bill franchise, I think would be dope. Like seeing Canary's fight with the bride would be so fun. And you can have that really extra level of gore that we couldn't have on the CW.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Very true. No, I like that.
Blood.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. Amy, you got one?
Yeah, so many. My initial thought was, like Michael was saying, a DC Marvel standoff. But I would love to see Cupid explored a little bit more in like the cable version. Like what would happen if there was an Arrow world and Westworld or something. To like really see the drama play out. Either that or a romantic comedy. I think Cupid romantic comedy could get interesting.
I want to see Cupid on The Bachelorette. Dudes
yes.
who are into it.
Yes. Sign me up. Where's my rose? Yes.
I vote for that.
Such a good.
Really bad for the contestants. That would be.
Well, then it goes into the Kill Bill phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Reality.
it all dominoes into one big thing.
Yeah.
Our quarantine project, guys.
There we go. I'm glad it's being recorded. We'll pitch it next week. All right. Lynn, thank you. That was a wonderful question. And GalaxyCon viewers, this has been my time with the cast of Arrow. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolute delight. Any final words for our audience before we go?
Thank you so much for coming. Wish we could see you.
I know. Yeah, thank you guys all so much. It's so fun to be able to do this and that we found a way to continue to do this and connect with you. I know we all appreciate it. You guys are the best fans ever, and we're all just so grateful speaking to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. The loyalty of this fandom has been far surpassed anything I could have imagined when I initially started working on the show. So I'm eternally grateful.
Awesome. It is. Look at Mike. Is it?
Yeah, I just want to say that it was lovely seeing Amy again. It's been a long time. We had some fun days on set together, and it's awesome to see everybody that I didn't get a chance to work with, that I've seen your work, and it's really cool to hang out with you guys for a bit.
Likewise. You too.
Likewise.
It has been my absolute pleasure to serve you all today. Once again, thank you for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us today, and thank you for your great questions. Hope to see you all again soon. And in the meantime, bye-bye, everyone. Take care, and please keep washing those hands.